going live. Oh, I should probably turn my thing off. Look, we already have. Let's go up here.
Jeez Louise.
I just like. It seems like all the conversations are just.
I read the news today, a two-bit expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged, and you know they're all just spam. So buckle down, look right in. It crawls its way under your skin. Just got found from the things they spot, and it will make you shout. Give me that good news.
Yes, give me that good news. You can't have coffee, of course. That's the nectar of good old Uncle Pete without the grounds. Pull up a chair, jump in the conversation by being part of this unique show. Copy the link and join us live. Join Scott, Giles, Uncle Pete, and their guest as they hit the grounds. Of course, the grounds brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Community Home Inspections. It's our goal to enhance your home buying experience by providing you with the impartial information so you can feel more confident about your buying decision. We give our customers the most personalized service possible. We are licensed and fully insured with over 18 years of experience. We always treat our customers the same way we would want to be treated, with respect and concern for your hard-earned money. Call us at 847-401-9501 or visit us online at www.communityhomeinspections.net. Pete.
Good morning. How y'all doing out there? How you doing, Scott?
Good. Good morning to you guys today.
It's
a wonderful Friday, right?
Yeah.
We all woke up. We're breathing.
Woke up, breathing, inhaling, exhaling.
It's not
how that works.
And it's not absolutely freezing out today, so that's a good thing.
No, it was almost, well, I mean, by comparison, it was warm.
Right?
It seemed like it.
Yeah, yesterday was like a heat wave. I stood outside and kind of tried to get a suntan.
Well, we had double-digit degrees when on my way home, I noticed it was 26, and that was like around.
That's a heat wave.
Yeah,
out here. See, I don't have a jacket on, so I mean, summer's here.
Yeah, I still wore my coat this morning over there, but look at that. Mary Shep says, "Morning." Don
Mary.
Stevens says, "Can you put link here?" Yeah, it's right there. You got to copy and paste. It's in there, Don. Can you put link? Oh, it's right there. It's right there, both on YouTube and on the Facebook stream there. On any of you who want to copy and paste and share, well, you know, you got to come in. You got to. What are our rules there, producer? They got to have earbuds and headphones.
Yeah.
Got to have their camera on, and if they come in through YouTube, they're going to have to kill the other YouTube.
That's right.
Feed.
Otherwise, there's an echo loop.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Too much information for me.
Echo.
Yeah,
echo. And we were talking in the green room, the room of greenness, just before the show here about the depths of conversation.
Yeah.
And how we'd like to have you and I mean me too, would like to have a little bit deeper conversation. I don't really want to go. I don't know how deep I want to go personally on a show that's listened to by thousands of people, but in a different kind of setting. But I do. A lot of this stuff is surface level stuff, isn't it?
Right. A lot of conversation for me. I mean, when I'm talking to people, I don't want to say I don't want to waste my time, but I want to get something out of that conversation. Other than, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's the family?
Yeah.
How's life? What are things that help you get through? What are things you deal with every day? As more so as a man, obviously, because we are men.
We are men. And look at that. There's the Don.
Hey, good morning, Don.
Good morning, Don. How you doing? Shayna, what's in store today? We have a lot in the store today.
And Gary's on. All right.
Gary from Singapore. Look at that. He was catching Mary Catherine's Power Hour playlist this morning. So, which was good. But Don, that's a good question to you. I mean, I actually have a whole list of stuff, and this is not on the topic, but I liked it when Scott brought it up this morning. As as the men that we are. Last time I checked, anyway, myself. Not checking you guys.
Please don't. I don't need to be checked
this morning, right?
You know, I'm going to take your word for it. But do you want or need or enjoy deeper conversations when you get together with people, more so than just surface stuff? Do you seek that out? Do you want it, or are you more a surface level kind of person in what you look for? There.
Get out to the field, Pete.
Say that again.
Is that question out to the field?
Well, it's out to the field, but you're the one sitting there staring back at
I'm
us.
the one staring at you right now. Well, my answer to that question would be yes. And I think, Scott, you may have mentioned sometimes those are hard to find.
They're real hard to find.
Yeah. Many people just kind of go through. It always reminds me of the joke, when your kids are going to school and you ask them how their day was, and the answer is fine. And that's how we tend to go through life sometimes because we're in such a hurry. Because it takes a little time to. You really have to invest time to go deeper with people, and I think that's what we're in such hurries all the time. I think that's the number one reason it doesn't happen as much as it should. Plus, there's fear associated with it as well. And people don't like to talk about the taboo topics, and I'm personally one of those people that loves to talk about those topics, but only with someone that you can actually engage, and actually have an intelligent conversation, which again sometimes is very difficult to find.
Now, when you say taboo topic, my brain goes to a very specific area. What does that mean? Yeah.
Well, some of it you don't talk about on this show, Pete. So I won't even say the word, but yeah, some of it you don't talk about on this show. People don't. What are the traditional ones? Sex, politics, and religion, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'll talk about politics and religion.
Well, it's not, and for me, it's not even that stuff. I don't want to know about your sex life, so to speak, unless you come into our store. I don't really. I want to know about your politics, yes, but I also want to know, and kind of start the whole conversation out that, when we're done with this, you still need to be able to talk to me and be, respect me, and I'll respect you. Because too many people these days, if they do talk about politics, they hate each other by the end of the thing because I've got, I like this guy and you like that guy. And look, at the end of the day, we're still human. And I have my opinions and my thoughts and my reasonings of why. But today, it seems like everybody, it's that conversation brought up will actually cause more headache and more strife. And people, it's like you're afraid to share your opinion with somebody because, you're going to be ousted. So I don't do that. I like to talk about regular life issues, as a man. What are the issues you go through as like just a man, as a father, as a husband, Well,
I tell you, it's here's something I learned about myself just recently. My boys, who are my oldest is married, and wonderful. I'm really thrilled and happy for him. He's happy as he can be. My middle son he and his girlfriend live together. He loves her to death, and I'm thrilled and happy for him as he can be. And Shayna says, I'm more interested in figuring out how you think more so than what you think. I like to keep an open mind. Not everybody's into that. Ha. No, that's really cool. And Gary says sex is usually acted upon rather than talked about. I suppose that depends on your predilection, right? But
sex, religion, and politics aren't necessarily three different things.
They could be grouped together depending on where you live, right?
Yeah, I guess it
what
could
you
be.
do.
But then my daughter just let us know, my wife and I, and she let my wife know, not me, that she now has a boyfriend. And it's official as of, I think they've been together like 3 weeks now. Officially.
Ooh, long term.
My wife, I'm like, okay, what do we know about this guy?
Yeah, what?
And my wife's like, don't you go all stalkery on this boy.
Right, don't go Facebook stalking.
And I learned more about that young man within about 10 minutes of knowing he existed.
Mm-hmm.
Than probably my daughter knows after however long she's been with him. So
is it a boy?
Well, yeah.
Or is it just somebody that is identifying as a male?
Well, I mean, I didn't
Are we
ask
going
that
there
question.
already?
I didn't ask that question. I'm assuming. because it's been he has been presented to me as a he him
Yeah.
fellow, so I'm just going with that.
He, him,
Lord
Yes.
help
he,
me.
him, it, we, they.
Yeah,
Isn't that the conjugation of something? And back I remember something
Next
like that.
on the grounds.
Yeah, next on the ground.
he him it they them
Yeah,
wherever.
that was last week's
That
conversation.
was last week's conversation.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Good morning, Facebook user. How are you today? I'm wondering if that's going to be Lisa or someone else. It's funny when it just throws that in there.
Facebook. That's me
Last-
sitting here with my phone.
Yeah, last week
Yeah.
it was Jerry Settles. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's right. So, but I learned that I had a hard time getting from I got to know everything about this dude to, you know what, you seem really happy. And I got there,
Right.
but you seem really happy. I'm happy that you're happy.
Right.
I don't know. I'm like, well, damn, I thought I was going to be a little bit better with this then. Because my wife and my daughter have never, ever, ever shared really anything with me about,
Boys.
boys
Dating.
dating.
Haven't
That's because you're a boy. She doesn't want to tell you because she knows you know what that boy's thinking. You're right. And I mean, and that's something as a parent, I mean, you don't want to think about because you know what goes, perfect conversation piece. You know what goes through your head when, you see a guy wanting to date, or see you're going to date a woman. I mean, that's the first thing I always said to every boy that came to date my daughter was, look, straight up, my daughter likes you. Great. But let me just tell you this. I know what you're thinking. I know what's on your mind. I know what you're after, other than you like her and you like to hang out. I said, no means no. As long as you can follow those rules, I'm good. But if I find out that no, was not valued or followed, you run.
That's when you say, that's when you say, Scott, have I shown you my gun collection?
I know. Actually, that's funny because you said that, because when she first started dating, I literally would have my guns out cleaning them because I'm not a hillbilly by any means, but I had some, and I would try to strike the fear of God into a certain point. And my son, let's see, he would have been 9 years old when she first started dating. I think I'm not going to try to figure that out too well, but he loved knives. I mean, my son has a tremendous knife collection. So he'd be like, and I'd be like this, and he'd be like, yeah. He's got his knife sitting on the thing, and it's like, I hate to say the word normal, but just be normal. You know what I mean? Treat her with respect, and understand what she wants and what she needs. And if you step over the line, understand that I'm coming after you, and I will go to jail for my kids. Especially that's what you're here for, is to protect them, to give them the skills to go through life. But sometimes you got to stop in and intervene.
Yeah. Well, apparently, what I've learned is that between my daughter, my wife, and my sons, they've all let everybody know that, if you meet him, just know that you're on very, very thin ice.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. I mean, because none of this was ever shared with me until now. So,
right. See, now I have an issue though, kind of with what he did. Right. So you haven't met the guy, but I'm going to say stalked him on Facebook and figure. So now you got a
I checked him out.
Right. You got a preconceived notion of what he's going to be like. So when he shows up, you're not.
No, actually, I guess I do have a preconceived
notion. Because you looked at his life from a what's out there on the web, basically, which is his fault, right, for putting it out there.
That's what he shared.
And if it gives him
if this is what you share, this is what you want people to know about you.
It's the life he's presented. Yes,
it's the life he's presented, but that might be a life that he doesn't even realize he's presented. So I mean, he might be a totally different person in person. I mean, what I present online, I'm sure is pretty different to what I am when I'm actually sitting around talking to you. And I would prefer to get to know somebody the old fashioned way, before I, skew my thoughts, if you will.
Maybe over a cup of coffee made with some
ground. A cup of coffee, you're right. Yeah, the ground, a cup of coffee, breakfast, or maybe you have something in common, like skiing or, tennis or whatever. I mean, just to be that actual person, because I think a lot of stuff that people put online is guarded persona.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Right. I'd rather sit down with somebody. And I'm not much of a drinker, but I would rather sit down with somebody and, maybe have a cocktail with them to where they can kind of let loose and become, really be themselves.
Yeah, I've got 3 daughters, of course, right?
So you're screwed.
Hashtag girl dad, and
Poor guy. Here's to you, my friend.
yeah, and here's
Gary's already laughing over it.
here's the truth. The truth is they're all scared of you. Okay, this guy is deathly scared of you already. He didn't even have to. That's the animal instinct. Is like, oh, that's Papa Bear over there,
Right.
and until you allow me into your den, because my oldest daughter had a couple of, she had some boyfriends that are football players. Probably could have took me out, but they were all scared of me, because I'm the dad. So you can just sit there in your underwear like you do every day in your easy chair, watching The Simpsons, and he's going to be scared of you. So
You've obviously never been to my house, but thanks for the peek. Thanks for that peek into yours. But
No, thank you for the visual that we're going to have to try to get out of our head now, though.
That's a conversation. That's a conversation for me. That's a conversation I like to have. I'd like to have with, fathers, other fathers. Hey, what did you do? Or what did you find worked? Because you don't want to scare the guy off because he might be the one. And, but you also don't want to not know them to cause your daughter harm.
That's what got me to the point of being okay. Is I saw a picture of her with him, and she truly looked happy.
Yeah,
she was smiling. You could just tell in her demeanor that there was a great deal of calmness and comfort in that. Because I know what she looks like when she's not happy, when she's uncomfortable, whatever. She looked happy.
That's
and
good.
So
that's all we want for our kids, right? I mean,
and so then I'm like, all right, good enough.
Yeah, good enough. I like good enough. See, I can't. I'm always looking to that next level. I think that's why I do what I do. I'm always looking to the next step, and it's to some points it's a fault, not just enjoying the moment.
See that actually. See this I like because this I have like this whole list of stuff here.
He wrote down notes. You're cheating.
No, this is how you prepare.
Oh,
for a
prepare!
show.
I thought it was life was preparing you.
He's a professional, Scott. He's a professional.
But see, this is cool because that kind of leads into when do you learn the most about yourself? Do you learn the most about yourself on good days or on bad days?
When you're drunk.
when you're drunk. Well,
Gary
that's the
knows.
stuff you might not want to remember.
That often leads to a bad day, right, Gary?
Or a good day, depending on how it turns out and who you're with.
Good day, bad day after.
I think most of honestly, it depends on what you're talking about learning, right? I mean, I think you learn really how the deepest part of you and when on the bad days, what you're made of.
Yeah.
What you're willing to take, what you're willing to accept, what you need to do, maybe. I mean, that, at least for me, the bad days are the ones that really kind of set me apart.
Well, Pete, I think that's a great question. It's not necessarily for me. When I heard you ask that question, I didn't necessarily think of good days or bad days, but the whole when do you learn more about yourselves? And this has been true in my professional life and my personal life.
You get more than 10. Sorry.
I learn the most when I am either in a business sense, maybe coaching someone, training something, because 9 times out of 10 I need to hear it, or in a personal setting when you're maybe coming alongside a brother and trying to help them through something. Again, you find yourself, sharing with someone things, either some suggestions of how to deal with something, and all of a sudden you realize I'm learning as I'm sharing this. So it seems to me, as for me personally, it's just when I'm either helping someone else is when I tend to learn the most about myself. Because 9 times
100%, I agree 100% on that one. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy in-depth conversation. I like the surface conversation somewhat. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? How's the family? But like last night, for instance, I was out with one of my best friends. We've known each other for like 44 years.
Wow.
It's really hard to get in a real deep conversation with him. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to say you feel like it almost is going to skew things in a way, but it always seems to kind of fall back to what we used to do and how we used to be, and my thing is I want to know, I struggle every day with, was I a good parent? I know I was, and there's a lot of things that I still am. There's a lot of things that I could have done better, which, you're teaching your kids to do that. But, I want to know what he did. He's got good kids, and they're struggling. But hey, on the like, I do home inspections, as you know, right? Which we're sponsoring the shows today.
Yeah. And here Shayna she's got some great words for us here. Shayna says, part of the journey for a young woman is to learn how to field those types of advances. Okay. I wonder if interfering under the guise of fatherhood may impede that growth somewhat. Ooh, I hadn't really thought of that. I don't know. I'm not a guy, but I do know that you won't always be there. So she does need to learn to handle herself. Okay, yeah, agreed. Just knowing she has a strong male figure in her life should make that easier. Maybe let her come to you when she has specific questions. It's an interesting perspective coming from the side of the dad. Thank you.
Yeah, that really opens up some thoughts in my head, but
it really does, because good morning. That's my mom, Wendy Munson. There you go.
Good morning, Mom.
Gary and everyone. Notice how she goes right to Gary. She loves Gary, by the way. She absolutely loves that guy.
With a single R, not a double R. With a single R.
I was going to say, she must not love him that much. She spelled his name wrong.
Well, that's
sexy. It's a sexy roll of the R.
It's
Gary.
Gary.
Though Shayna, though I do see her thought, and that's a boundary, I guess, in some ways that and my wife lets me know that I kind of overstep. Not overstep, but we gave her the tools. Let her use them. I mean, I'm not afraid of her handling herself. If there's one thing that she's tough, I'm good. She's very tough, and I know that no guy is really going to mess with her. But I also, at the same point, want to let them know that if you do mess with her, and for some reason she's not going to come back with you, as you put it, Papa Bear is waiting back here. You know what I mean? And Papa Bear will take care of you, because we have to. We're the ones that taught the kids what to do, hopefully, but we also are going to have to. I shouldn't say have to, because some parents don't, which drives me nuts, but pick up the pieces or help pick up the pieces and put them back together. And
absolutely. And you want them to feel like they can come to you for that.
Right.
And at no time do I ever want any of my children to feel like, for any reason, that they can't come to me. Right. And in fact, Luke, my middle son, he called me one day with just some questions, and he likes to try and he likes to poke the bear kind of thing. And he said, well, what would you do if I was trans, or if I was this, or I love you. You're my son. I don't really care. He said, well, I love you no matter. I said, well, what if I was a serial killer? I don't know. You need help burying the bodies. What do you need?
Oh my God! It's funny you say that, because we got into that conversation with my wife one time, and it was a wrong comment, and I'm not going to. But my wife said, "What if your son did this? Would you still love him?" And I'm like, and I thought about it for a second. You know what I mean? I'm like, I actually thought I had to think about it. I'm like, well, wait, I'm always going to love him, but if he did something, like if he murdered somebody, I still love him. But I mean, I think does that love change? Because they did something that's so, it's not even taboo. There's something that's just so horrifically you're still going to love them, but then that's the thing where you're going to think, wait, is there something that I did not talk to them about? Did I not teach them? As a parent, we're always second guessing ourselves, right? And that's where the deeper conversation comes in, because let's say your kid came to you and said, Pete, what did you say to them? How did you address it? Even though everyone's a little bit different, how did you address it? It gives me an avenue to hit it on a different way, other than, what everyone else says. Mainstream. Don't do it. Well, they did it. Now what do you do?
And Luke, he was a little shaky. He said, you didn't even skip a beat. You didn't even have to stop and think. I mean, no, I don't. I mean, you're my son. Out of my wife, my children, you guys come first no matter what. I got shovels. I don't, what?
Like that. I got shovels. So this was not brought to you by Community Home Inspections.
This is coming from the same guy who stepped over a dead body in his kitchen and said, somebody better pick this up before.
That is
Who
true.
let them in?
The views of Peter Gall do not represent the views of Scott Giles.
Just have to figure out what size trash bag to buy. I mean,
actually, it was wrapped in a bed sheet, and
there you go. You now have to worry about the next bed sheet pattern that you're gonna get from.
I was actually
whatever,
curious. It was a little bit. It was about 3:15 in the morning, and I came downstairs and did what I had to do down the hall, and then came in to get a drink, and there was a dead body wrapped in a bed sheet on my kitchen floor.
Oh, come on, really? You're serious?
I was absolutely furious. I was furious because I didn't. My first thought was, who the hell left this body on my kitchen floor? I am not cleaning this up.
Who left this?
Yeah.
That's not the first question that comes to my mind. Oh my! Who did this? I'm not cleaning that up. Let the dog out already.
That was the
You guys don't expect me to pick up after you.
Right.
Wow.
He didn't even kick it. He didn't even like kick it.
Right?
No.
Is it just somebody drunk, passed out? Wow.
No. And then the second, and then I'm like, well, that better not be here in the morning when I get back down here. I went back upstairs and went back to bed.
You sure you weren't dreaming?
No,
you really
I was not
thought you
dreaming
really
at
had
all.
a dead body on?
100% dead body on my kitchen floor.
That's
And
for
then
a
I didn't
different
even
show.
I did not even go to check on my two sons in their bedroom
To see if maybe that was one of them?
No, so I'm like, son of a bitch. Who does that? Who wraps up a body and leaves it on the kitchen floor? No, I did not think it was a prank at all. I thought it was a dead body. I just didn't care. I was mad, and I wasn't taking it out to the garbage bin. And
I have to leave now, gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's been a great Friday. Trucking.
I went back upstairs. I came down the next morning. It was still there. And then I realized
Come on.
it was still there. And I realized that because then I went over. I'm like, God, now I got to deal with this.
You leave you leave a dead human laying on your kitchen floor. I can't even let a dead animal sit on the road.
Okay.
I'll stop and have to at
It
least push it to the
turns
side
out-
of the road.
It turned out
Folks,
Shayna-
I have officially resigned from this podcast. We will see you at 21-7 the net with Kent Jones.
Shayna says you have just
Gone off the rails.
made it more interesting. But it did turn out that actually my oldest son had wrapped his laundry and thought it would be funny. Now, so it was not an actual dead body. In my mind, and again, 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't sleep much.
Yeah, but I don't care what
That's-
time it is. You step over a dead body. Oh, my God. Anyone that knows Pete, he is actually really a good guy. But walking over a dead body,
Well, it was in my house.
that's even worse.
So, well, at that point,
Wouldn't you want to just
figured-
grab it and throw it in your neighbor's yard?
I mean, I figure it's mine.
It's your
in my
neighbor's fault.
house.
It's your neighbor's problem now.
If it's
Facebook-
in my house, it's mine.
Facebook user number 1 today is Tim Santos.
Oh, Tim,
Hey,
how you doing?
From
Tim
the
Santos.
Santos, right? Santos Agency, right downtown McHenry.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Open enrollment, I think, is happening too. So,
It is,
Give him a
as
call.
a matter of fact. And Shayna also did ask up there, going back to is love conditional? Now it's getting deep. It depends on who you are for me.
What do you mean? It depends on who you are. Because, I mean, you're not as far as family members, it's just unconditional.
Right.
Just no matter what, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my wife and I have had quite a few conversations about unconditional and conditional love. And that's where when I brought up, if my son did this, do I still love him? Well, yes, but I think the love somewhat changes, right? I mean, in my mind, and that was what the argument we had was it somewhat changes. I mean, unconditional, I love him and he's my boy and I'm going to do whatever I can. But, you murdered somebody. I mean,
I'm going to ask how he got there.
he probably doesn't
I would
know.
I would certainly ask, what was your thought process? Like Shayna, she likes to know how people think.
How did you think about killing them, huh, Pete? Is that what you
Hey,
want?
there
Good morning,
he is.
Eric.
Eric, how you doing?
Hi, Eric.
How are you guys?
Good.
Looking
morning.
very spiffy, sporting the same beard as me. You see that?
Yeah, I
Gracious.
pretty much let this go since a week ago Monday. We haven't been above freezing in Tulsa, so it's time to probably let this thing go this weekend, I think, and
Where
shave
are
it
you?
off.
He's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, yeah,
Oklahoma, where the what? Sing
the-
it.
When the
No,
wind
no.
comes,
where the wind comes sweeping down the plains.
something like that.
Something like that.
Oklahoma, where the
Yeah.
It was a play when I was a kid. It's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
where the something is neat and something else is.
So on the
sweet.
grounds, we're actually going to start singing this morning to see who can
Oh,
new karaoke.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Next on
It's
the
a little
ground,
early for me, though. So
So, but back to
And-
Shayna sing with
see,
conditional.
singing flat with
Singing
Pete.
flat, yeah.
Scott, I'll follow up on Shayna's point because my opinion, the word love does not come with conditions. If we actually love someone, it is unconditional. I think we get confused sometimes that just because you love someone, if they do something horrible, you don't stop loving them, but you certainly, as I put in the chat, you can be, I'll love you still. I might be really, really, really mad at you, and we're going to have some issues, and there might need to be some boundaries put up based on whatever the situation is. But I believe that if you actually love someone, it is unconditional. But again, it can change the circumstance or the boundaries, but not change how, ultimately how you feel. And I think it's easy for us to say that about our own family members, but if I've just got someone that has just been in my life for a long time, I love them personally, and they do something horrible, it'll be the same. Because the love will lead you to figuring out how do you help that person through whatever it is that they did that is, quote unquote, so horrible.
Okay.
But the conditions, so with using the word, the conditions change though, right?
Yep.
If they do something horrible, your conditions of your relationship your conditions actually change.
Mm-hmm.
You still love them,
right?
But the condition of your love may change, because if they did something horrific like that, I mean, you're not going to not love them, but you're definitely going to look at that relationship in a different manner, right?
Well, I think it's like Pete and I both love donuts. He loves them a little more than I do, and
more of them.
You can see, what's happened. His love is showing more than mine.
Yes. Trading my love. Jen says that Ambien will give you some wild thoughts. And Jenna, just so you're aware, I'm not on Ambien, never taken Ambien. That's just my brain. Wendy earlier said that was sleep deprivation. I don't know. I think I learned something about myself that day.
Was that a good day or a bad day?
It was a surprising day, because as I began to reflect on that, I thought maybe that's not the reaction I should have had.
Well, I think for sure that's not the reaction you should have had.
But
you should have unraveled it.
But
it's like an onion. You had to peel back the layers.
Well, the reaction that we have to have is thank you for tuning in to 21.6 The Net. Right here, you're caught in the net. To all the thousands of listeners out there, come and be part of this show. This is the only radio show that we know that invites the audience in to be part of it. And of course, it's made possible through the financial support of our good friends over at Community Home Inspections. At Community Home Inspections, it's their goal to enhance your home buying experience by providing you with impartial information so you can feel more confident about your buying decision. Give them a call at 847-401-9501 or visit them online at www.communityhomeinspections.net, where you will get treated the same way that they would want to be treated, with respect and concern for your hard-earned money.
And don't judge me, because the website is under a little bit of change, so I don't know how well it works. I have to talk to my guy. We just completely changed over to platform because apparently, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to that stuff, to have interactive.
That's all right.
I'm very old school. I still like a handshake. My word is my bond. So,
yeah. See, and that,
which is an important conversation to have in this world today.
The word is your bond is very. Steph, good morning, Steph.
Hey, Steph.
And if you're down the hall, you should just walk in the door.
Yeah, come over.
But. See, with this love and condition thing, for me, love, I have
very comfortable,
a very
topic.
specific.
I know, really.
I have a very specific idea.
I love you, honey. I know she's listening.
Of love
jumped in yet.
In my mind. What is conditional for me is loyalty. Okay. If someone, in my perception, breaks their loyalty with me, done.
One time,
done. One and done. That's it.
You don't give people a second chance?
And not on that, because that just shows
don't piss off Pete.
Well, what do you mean not on that? I mean,
it was nice knowing you. I got to go. Yeah.
I mean, like loyalty as far as like
loyalty,
throwing
honesty,
you under the bus,
integrity. That, or not necessarily throwing me. If I did something and need to be called out, that's different.
That's different.
Our guests will know because your mic will be muted.
Whoa, what did I do now?
Or you'll be kicked off the screen.
Right.
No, it's if you cross that line and break integrity, break trust, if you are if you demonstrate disloyalty, you're out. I'm done.
Right. Yeah, you don't have enough room for that crap in your life.
No, I don't.
Pete. So in other words, you wouldn't care enough about them to see if you could help them through the fact that they're doing something that you think is horrible and you'd like to see change in them.
Very good point. Good point. Maybe
Listen,
they've got something going on up top that caused them to do that, and they do need some help, like to discuss a conversation that's more than surface.
That would cause you to go deep with them, Scott. Yeah.
why would you do that? Because disloyalty will show where the bodies have been buried.
Right.
Yeah, that's why Pete has to cut them loose, because they might tell where the bodies are. That's right. Okay, we got.
Hey,
and they might let Pete know why the bodies were buried in the first place.
I like the fact that you brought that up, Don. Is I mean, maybe unfortunately, I mean, God knows I've screwed up big time, and I am one of the luckiest guys in the world that my wife, has kept me around.
Amen, brother.
I just want to put out there for the FBI and anybody else who's listening out there, Peter Galt has not killed anybody. It was dirty laundry.
Dirty laundry.
It was dirty laundry.
He was airing his dirty laundry.
Yeah, he was airing his dirty laundry.
It was literally dirty laundry.
Yeah,
it turned out that was the case.
And if he did, I wouldn't tell on him.
Yeah, the last thing we need is at 3:30 this afternoon our door getting kicked down during the bookkeeper.
Right.
Well,
right.
I mean, at least 9,000 miles away, I'll be safe.
That's right.
Well, not necessarily with the internet today.
Yeah, you're now an accomplice. Thank you. It's Gary with one R.
Yeah, we're all accomplices.
Spell it right.
Right. But Gary, I really, you know what? I'm sorry, Don. Your comment really resonates with me because
we've been forgiven. You've been forgiven.
I mean,
right?
what happened? Isn't it? What's the? If you're Christian or you're religious, turn the other cheek. That person could be going through some hell and did something, or they could have some mental stuff going on up there, and it wasn't an intentional, because a disloyalty or somebody that it could be something that was really not, I don't want to say intentional, but I mean, there's sometimes people make this dumb decisions, right, and they don't realize it until afterwards. And if you can sit down and talk with them, and kind of understand where their head was at and why that decision was made, to me, if they'll come clean, so to speak, and discuss that to a deeper level, be like, oh my God, I get that. And I felt the same way. And this is what I did. Or, this is how I dealt with it. That's why when we first started talking, I want to kind of find some type of men's group, a mentoring group, to really talk about these subjects that, that people call taboo. I mean,
guess it would really depend, giving this more thought, because there are people that I have just, they don't even get any mind space, nothing. They just don't exist anymore. To the point where I really couldn't even tell you names. But
Scott, my name's Scott.
I suppose it would depend on the person and how much value I placed on them, and not that but the value that I give them insofar as what place they hold in my life.
Right.
Well,
I guess it's a two-way
from a
street.
Christian standpoint, we should forgive, right? But that doesn't mean that there are not ramifications to what the person did. It doesn't mean that you have to keep them around in your life if they wronged you, what you deem is bad enough. That's still your decision. You can't run into a building and yell fire every day and without there being some ramifications with that. I mean, I think it's okay we have to forgive, and I think forgiveness.
Right, but Pete said one and done. If that person is through hell right now, and he had to choose, I can't.
But that's his choice, though, right?
Right. But I mean, he's saying one and done. Maybe that person is probably the best person to be in his life, and that person needs him. They need that hand up, right? Help pull them up to a better situation. And Pete saying, "Nope, screw you, I'm done." Maybe that's what that person needed for Pete to actually stick with them and to give them a little bit more love and conversation and, a good opinion or just a good suggestion. I mean,
guidance.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So you can tell I have a really great vocabulary, but some type of guidance. There's,
You're
when
communicating very effectively.
When people do something wrong or have a problem, usually, and they're crying out for help.
And Shayna asked me, Pete, was there a time when you were disloyal? And
Yeah, this
why?
morning he didn't give me any creamer in my coffee. It's really disloyal.
Done. We're done.
I asked,
Thinking we're done.
I asked you if you would like
All right,
some.
he did. All right, I lied.
I didn't get it for you, but I did ask if you would like some.
Yeah. So do you want it? Yes, I do. Well, then go get it yourself.
Usually people, when Jen says, and by the way, Shayna, in giving that just a very surface level thought, truly, I'm very direct and upfront with people. When I have an issue, I'm going to tell them. I cannot think of a time when I was actually disloyal, but I've experienced it and I don't like it. Jen says
he's not blonde haired. He's a ginger, so he's got no soul. He got no problem coming back.
Is that what's wrong with my wife? Sorry, honey, if you're listening, I do love you, like I said, and I'm blessed that you stay with me, but she's a ginger. Well, yeah, she's a ginger, so.
See, and gingers are all right in my book because, well, I am.
Well, it's good, right, because you're one, so if you don't like yourself, you're screwed.
Yeah, no, I love myself.
Good for you. That's one of the biggest problems we have in the world today.
Amen.
People don't love themselves. And then that just gets exacerbated all the way down.
To the extent that, and I'm sorry, I did not get to Jen's comment there. Usually when people come into our lives and are only temporary, there's usually a bigger lesson we are learning from them, a realization we discovered about ourselves, or they need us for the same reason.
There's my wife.
And
Strawberry blonde. Yeah, I love it.
I told you she was stalking. Strawberry blonde. Very granola girl. That's what I call it. My granola girl.
Yeah. So I've experienced disloyalty. I don't care for it, and so I've made no time for it. I tend to be just completely direct, maybe because of the experiences I've had.
Yeah.
And
that's good. I prefer direct. You know, I mean, if you don't like me or I did something, just tell me. In today's day and age, people just beat around the bush, or they don't say anything and then they'll post it out to Facebook.
Start on Facebook a damn thing.
I don't even do Facebook really for the most part, other than I post some pretty pictures of my vacation so I can make people jealous, which is wrong. You know,
I love it.
Pictures, and I think, wow, this dude's having a great time. I don't get jealous.
I'm miserable though.
Are you miserable?
Oh yeah,
miserable though.
24/7, man.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
wow, he's having a good time. Good for him.
We're learning a lot about Scott all of a sudden.
I'm not miserable, but you know, I mean, we've all got our issues, and you know how you deal with them. There's a lot of people that don't want to talk about, you know. Well, you know, I mean, and I don't want to really get into it, but the whole thing of the mental aspect of just right now, really the whole world and coronavirus and how it's affected people and your relationships. And most people don't want to talk about it. They just want to bitch about, you know, what's happened and how it's, you know, how it sucks. Well, okay, that's fine. It sucks. It's what happened. But how are you doing? How are you dealing with it? How are your kids dealing with it?
No.
You know, to nip it in the bud before it could become an issue. Because I mean, honestly, I forget who said it, but I mean, you ask your kid. My son's a perfect example, and he's a great kid. But Zachary, how you doing? Fine. Well, fine stands for freaked out, nervous, and I can't even think of the E now. Freaked out, insecure, nervous,
erotic? No.
Exasperated.
I can't even think of the E now, but
exasperated, maybe.
No, freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional,
you
know, which is true because most people, it's a default answer. Fine. I don't want. I really want you to tell me. I mean, I don't want to. You know, if you ask that question, you have to be ready for a real discussion. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So people ask me that. I usually say a little gassy, but
yeah, I'm good. You know, just stand back a few feet. But, you know, that's the way the world is today. Is everything is surfaced, except on like where you're faceless, so to speak, like on the web. You know, the Facebook, you know, it's how many people have disowned people because they're putting out their 2 cents online, you know, and pissing people off. And it's the conversation doesn't go anywhere, or they start hating you because you have an opinion that doesn't match theirs.
Basically, it's just a lost art of conversation. I mean, people are not talking face to face much. It's all through words that can't really carry the emotion that you are trying to say. You need face to face conversation in order to see what the person really meant to say rather than just words on the net.
Right.
See, and that's the problem with typed words. Have no inflection.
Right. You can't tell what that person, how that person is feeling, and what the actual emotions behind that conversation or that statement is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big proponent of face to face. I don't like the, you know, internet conversation, texting. I hate it. I but I complain all the time about. I would rather you call me on the phone. We can talk for 2 minutes and get the same conversation done, other than 40 texts back and forth, and that wastes a lot of time.
And see, I have talked to people, younger people in their 20s recently, and they don't want the phone conversation. They don't want that auditory confrontation. They want, it's better to text. I'm super easy to text.
It's almost anonymity.
And it's, to me, it's like, well, dead nam, I've got freaking sausage thumbs here. This is not an easy thing.
Can I chime in on this? One of the things,
Eric, chime in here.
Yeah, one of the things I'm a huge proponent of, and I talk about it a lot, is I try to not text anymore either, but I do a lot. But I do voice text, so you can literally do the same thing, but you can send a voice text, and it's amazing. We live in this world with the greatest communication device in the history of the world in our hands, and yet we still get a text and go, "What the hell did that mean?" Right? Because you can't hear inflection, you can't hear tone. And so I do it all the time where I send voice texts. I send voice messages on Instagram, voice messages on Facebook, voice messages on LinkedIn. That way they can hear my voice. They can hear my tone. They can hear, I'm excited that, it takes all the guessing out of it. For you guys, so with your wives, send your wife a voice text and show her how to voice text you back. And that conversation, that instead of being a 2-minute phone call or 40 minutes via text, is literally still 10 or 15 seconds on a voice text, but you get the conversation over with really quick.
Yeah, but I like to pretend when I'm reading my wife's text that she's whispering into my ear very sexily. So
well, I do the same thing when she texts me as well. So
you hold the phone very close to your ear.
I just put mine on vibrate. Keep it in my pocket.
Now that we are going there.
Shauna says, do you as a collective, Shayna, not Shauna, Shayna, do you as a collective group of seasoned men, that's a nice way of calling us old,
is my gray show.
Wow,
vintage.
Pepper, salt, and sugar.
Somehow mentor the younger generation of men.
Yes.
So many need it. I would probably say, outside of my children, I would say, I think perhaps I would refer you to Don Severson, Eric, Gary, Scott, or Kent. I don't want to mentor you.
Pete generally doesn't like people.
Now that to me is what a lot of America is right now. I want to mentor. I feel the best in my life when I'm helping people out, when I'm helping to educate or to help somebody through a tough time, because a lot of times when I'm helping somebody through a tough time, it's actually helping me, because you're looking at something from someone else's perspective and you go, wow, I never looked at it that way. And, you're helping this person, and I think that's, like counselors the same way. They feed off of helping other people to feel better, which makes them feel better about themselves as well, because you're helping to make the world just a better place, one person at a time. Because I know that, for instance, my son does not like to talk to me, right? He'll talk to my wife, and I'm hoping he talks to other people. I mean, we do talk, but I think there's some things that, he doesn't want to talk to me about, and maybe in fear of judgment, or, that, that I might be disappointed that he thinks that thought. And, he might not even realize it, but I think that thought all the time, but because it's not brought up. There's certain things that people are afraid to bring up to, me included. I mean, there's certain things that you might not want to bring up to your spouse, even though you should, but, you're kind of worried about how, what rabbit hole it's going to take you down, and if it's going to change their perception of you, right? Mm-hmm. So that those conversations go
Shayna likes your perspective.
Well,
She
thanks,
flat out
Shayna.
says, "I like your perspective, Scott."
I chime in on this one a little bit too, from the standpoint of just mentoring a little bit. There's our daughter, where she goes to daycare, which is where our church is at. There's 2 young ladies that are graduating in May from college, and I asked them both a couple months ago. I'm like, "Are you guys on LinkedIn?" And they're like, "Well, no, we haven't graduated yet." And I'm like, "No, you need to be on LinkedIn now." And so I walked them through the process of how to set it up. And literally, we have a group message together where every other day or so, I'm sharing stuff with them and saying, "Look, you need to look at this, take a look at that," and trying to help them. And, it's interesting from the standpoint of, look, what field do you want to get into, and what company do you want to work at? And start with the CEO and connect and work your way down. And they're like, "But he's a CEO or she's a CEO." And I'm like, "I don't give a shit.
They're a person.
Connect with them. They're a person. Let them see you. Let them see what you're posting. Let them see what you're talking about." And I saw actually both of them this morning when I dropped my daughter off, and it's been kind of this running competition of who has more connects. And one is up to like 196 and one's up to like 189. And they're connecting with, 4 or 5 people a week and sending meaningful, thoughtful messages. And I think from a mentoring standpoint, in a business standpoint, those are some of the things we have to do that we don't do with the younger generation, is to teach them early, this is why you should be on LinkedIn, or this is how you should handle your social media. The other conversation I've had with both of them is like, look, if you think that you're going to walk into an interview and someone in that interview, and whether it's HR or the person you might work for, hasn't looked you up on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, you are wrong. Now, both these two, they don't post anything crazy or obnoxious or anything like that, but your online resume is out there for the world to see.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so those are some of the things. And I, Pete, to your point, I have those conversations with my son, and I have for years on, what you should look like on social media, and what, not what you should look like, because that sounds like it's manipulated, but I think you have to be very aware about what it is.
What information you're putting out there. Right. And
how you put yourself out there, you're
Right.
essentially making a great big billboard that everybody's driving by, and this
Right.
is what you want to show.
and it's permanent. That's the big
And then,
problem.
yeah,
today,
it's
is
a
all
permanent billboard. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Right.
It's for posterity.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh no, I mean, it's once it's out there, it's for posterity. I mean,
Whatever.
Yeah. So, but Eric, interesting you went, because I don't think of that kind of thing as mentoring. So I suppose for me, mentoring should be defined.
I was going to say,
That means-
you sell yourself short on, you're selling yourself short. You do these kinds of things. I think you've got it in your head, kind of a formal mentoring. I meet with the person once a week or whatever that you're doing.
Yeah.
Mentoring all the time.
And then I'm not.
On your radio shows, and I think
I feel like I'm getting mentored right now.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we learn from one
Well,
another.
that's what
By the way, Shayna is
We learn
right.
what not to do, right, Eric? We learn what
Yeah.
not to do from this show.
Exactly. By the way, Shayna's comment right here is 100% right. When, with these 2 young ladies as an example, they're branding themselves right now on what they are and who they are. And we as grown men, I mean, it's something I literally think about every single day. What's my brand? And I did a seminar a year and a half ago before COVID talking about what is your brand. Whether you're a single stay-at-home mom, you have a brand. Whether I sell pizza products, I have a brand. If Gary, has that light above his head and he wants to be an angel, that's his brand. One of the stats out there when we go, let's say we were all going to a Pete in the Morning convention tomorrow, and we were in Houston, Texas, as an example, sitting at a hotel bar, and we didn't know each other. The stat out there is within 2 minutes, one of us will say to the other one, "So what do you do?" Right? And we don't say, "Doggone it, you should see me, father." We talk about what we do for work. We don't say, "I'm the best husband on the planet." We talk about what we do for work because it is part of who we are, and
defines us.
it does define us whether we like it or not, and it's the biggest part of our brand because people see it all the time. And so control what that brand is, and control what that looks like, and control what you put out, because to Gary's point, it does. There are people that say, "Oh, well, I could delete it all." Oh, somebody
go ahead and try. Go ahead and try to delete it.
Yeah, somebody's seen it. I think the way you brand yourself, and I think that to me is one of the most interesting things about kids. Anywhere from 15 to 25 looking for jobs is some of the stuff they may have posted on social media in the past. And I'll tell you, one of the things I love about Facebook is that there's the on this day thing. So you can go back and see what you posted on the same day years ago. Man, I delete stuff almost every single day. Gone. Like, what was I thinking when I posted that? Gone. You know, and I don't want to like necessarily hide what I thought, but at the same time, you know, 12 years ago on Facebook, I may have posted something, and it was not that I never posted anything that was like erratically bad, but at the same time, like, yeah, not so proud of that. Delete
that one, right?
Yeah, I got hammered at the bar last night. Delete. You know, so but I think it. You know, Shannon talked about it's your brand, and we all have an online brand, and it defines us in a lot of ways. And you know, I'll give you a great example, and then I'll be quiet. Is my sister one day had posted on Facebook, "Oh, I got a headache and I feel awful." And you know what? That was somewhat her brand for the day, because here came all the comments. I feel awful too, and the weather did it. And it was like 40 comments of how everyone felt awful. And I said to my sister, I said, I love you. I said, I want to challenge you. Tomorrow, post the opposite and see what happens. The next day, I feel great. I'm really excited for today. And some of the same freaking people, me too. I'm so excited. Like, you know, we all have this sphere of influence around us. And I'll tell you, if you know, misery loves company, and there's a reason why old sayings are around, because they're true. And if you want to post and say, I feel awful, well, everybody's going to feel awful. And it's going to get other people that you know that are teetering one way or the other to go, well, I do feel awful. But if you say, I feel great today, well, I do feel great today. And regardless of whether you do or you don't, if you don't feel great, well, don't talk about it. Leave it alone. Keep it, just push it down and try and figure out something to change your mindset or feel better. Drink some more coffee, have another donut, do something, go for a walk. But posting negative stuff, I don't feel like doesn't bring any value to anybody.
I mean, like you could post, you know, I found a dead body on the floor, you know, when I woke up or something like that.
Yeah, Eric, you raised a point about when we meet people. It's always been kind of a pet peeve of mine that we created a world where that's when two guys meet. The first question, What do you do? What do you do? And tell you what, you just want to freak people out and meet somebody and make the first question, hey, tell me something about yourself that's not related to your work. And people, they won't even know what to say at first. They'll really have to think about it because it's so unusual. And it kind of goes to how this started, Scott, the whole going deep in conversations. Where we work is not a deep conversation.
No, it's a surface conversation. Yeah, and it's, you know, trying to, I mean, it's an icebreaker, you know, but I mean, granted, when you first meet somebody, you're not going to go deep with them, but you know, I mean, you can. I mean, there's been some people over my lifetime that, you know, the conversation just goes really quick and fast and deep because you just have a connection with that person. And, you know, I mean, that's good because it also makes you feel, you know, I use the word normal a lot, but normal.
Yeah.
But,
Beth Myers says, I've taught my kids that everyone you meet in your life is a connection. What do you want people to think or say about you? Just oftentimes the people you connect with can help you in your future goals. That's interesting.
That's a great comment.
I might add regarding when you meet someone, instead of saying how are you doing, I think it's a Dale Carnegie thing that says, hey, tell me something good as you're shaking hands. Not how are you doing? How are you doing can almost incite negative. Oh, today sucks, you know. But it's to tell me something good. Right.
Well, and I mean, Beth Myers, a really good friend of mine. She actually works at Century 21 here in McHenry. She runs the office down there. So if anyone's looking to buy a house, not that I should really push one person, but she runs that place down there. She's an awesome person. So very cool. Her maiden name was Beth Kautz. If anyone just to know, she's a great person. Go see her. She's got a conversation. She's got a good point there about teaching your kids that every it's a new connection.
Yeah.
Right. And it could be a connection. It could be a great thing. It could change your life. You know, just one small conversation with somebody.
It really could. And
I'll just add on to Shanna's question about, you know, she referring to us as seasoned man and mentoring. So I'm in the underground music scene as a hobby and been there for so many years. I think I won't call it mentoring, but sometimes, you know, you have the young kids entering gigs, the metal gigs, hardcore gigs, straight edge punk, what have you. But sometimes in between the sets of the bands, there's always a small little break while they're changing bands, and so sometimes it's just an opportunity for me to just chat with them. I mean, from a 50-year-old person to a 17, 18, 19-year-old young person. I guess sometimes it's not about mentoring, it's more about letting them understand that, you are in this scene, you're in the underground music scene, there's some ethos of that scene which actually will do you good in your real life. The thing about hard work, the thing about not doing drugs, the thing about staying on a straight edge, and and just treating everybody with respect regardless of where they are from, who they are. So I think from my perspective, on my personal side, it's not about mentoring. It's more about
more about
letting them understand.
Jerry, thank you very much. And I hate to cut you off,
No
especially
worries.
because Wendy loves listening to you speak. So come back again next week, Wednesday, and everybody else. This has been another episode of The Grounds with Scott Giles. I'm Pete. We've got producer
and our lover producer.
And absolutely. Ken. We want you all to come back again.
Yep, come back next Friday.
7:30.
And just throwing it out there, trying to put together a mentoring group for men, to talk about real things in life.
And I think I've learned a little bit about mentoring myself today. So
you mentor me every day.
I don't think I thought it was what I thought it was.
No, mentoring is literally just talking about life, really, and that's why you did something.
Come back at the top of the hour for Bridging Civil Tension with Bill Wallace and Ken Jones, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here, 21.6 The Net. And a big thank you to our good friends over at Community Home Inspections for helping out this show. Everybody, enjoy your Friday.
Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy. See you next week.
Have a good weekend.